Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday, only we're talking on a Tuesday. Yes, indeed. Yes, there was the bank holiday in Ireland. So we delayed, well, a long, perhaps exhaustive conversation about the Haas weekend, but we're going to keep it nice and short today. Firstly, we have to say hello to the exiled one, Tommy Lyons, who's joining us as always. Tommy, I believe you got a bit of feedback from a viewer over the weekend.
I did actually, yeah. Yeah, I did. Somebody I hadn't spoken to before. He said he made a comment and said, "Geez, you're really a lot happier in real life than you are on Talking Dogs." And he had a point. He had a point. The man was 100% right.
I think that sums it up. Always nice to get feedback, Tommy. Always nice to get feedback. You sent me
I
a
thought,
text
I thought,
yesterday. You sent me a
I thought
text
fair play
saying
to him. He
that, and
said,
I said, you know what? I'm going to ignore that and just throw it straight at him.
"Well, I tell you what. I mean, he hit me straight between the eyes, and fair play to him. He's dead right."
I'd be afraid that my feedback would be the opposite. Geez, you're much more grouchy in real life than you are on Talking Dogs. Let's get into it. We have a big weekend of racing to look back on, Tommy. Shelburne 600, select stakes, of course, the opening round of Produce Stakes, all in this part of the world. And of course, across the pond, the Irish had 39 runners in the opening round of the Star Sports and Orchestrate English Greyhound Derby. We've 27 going through. There's some plenty of talking points in that. We probably won't get into too many of them, but just a crazy weekend. Trying to keep abreast of it all, Tommy, is it's not easy.
Oh, it's not easy because you're jumping between so many tracks, and there's different nuances to each of the tracks, and there's just lots of different little things to kind of factor in when you're talking about them. But it's good quality though.
Yeah. Let's get into it though. Shelburne on Saturday night, there was some good racing. Only a nine race card yet again, but the final of the Shelburne Open 600 was very much the feature and threw up a tremendous finish. Obviously, it went the way of Midra's opinion. Tommy, he was sent off the industry SP at 10 to 1. I think he was roughly the same price all week anyway. I'd say he was probably close enough to that price. I came to the conclusion on Saturday morning when doing the preview that he was greatly overpriced. I'll be honest. If you actually look back at the semi-final form, he sort of got shuffled out of it in the opening corner, ran on really strong. He's only beaten 2 lengths in defeat in the semi-finals, and the other evening the 10 to 1 was just a little bit too tempting, and little nibble was had. Midra's opinion. At the same time, I'd probably have sold out at the second bend when Lemon Orla was 2 or 3 lengths in front of him. Whatever about Groucho's Gregor, who was absolutely, setting a searing gallop out front. I think just the 3 quick runs. It's actually 4 quick runs over 600 yards for him because they ran him in the 600 the week before the 600 started, and I think it might have been just a step too far for him. He's a really good prospect, especially if he does step back and trip and shows that sharpness early that he's been showing over the 600. I think he will be a proper 550-yard dog, and I wouldn't have any problems going forward throwing him back into 575, 600 yards. I think it was just the fact that it was the 4 runs that really that really did sort of take it out of him. Like he did 32.05 in the opening round. He did 32.46 last week in the semi-finals. And then the other evening, with a clear passage on a track that was probably running a fraction better than had been the week previous, did 32.49. So just going back that little bit each night through the competition. But Tommy, it goes to Midra's opinion. Owen McKenna went very close to winning this a long, long time ago. You might remember, Tommy, like a shot going head to head with Satellite Fly, one of the great finals. It was a really tremendous final. Owen got so close then. He's had other finalists. Indeed, Callaway Kinnegar, who was a finalist on Saturday night, was odds-on favourite last year. So Owen, he was due a victory in this competition, and many would have expected that would have been Kinnegar, but just Kinnegar, it just seems to happen a bit quick for him these days. I think if he was mine, I'd try him over six bends. I think you could also probably try six bends with Midra's opinion. But this was a really gallant display from the winner.
It's a huge display because you said like about a length behind Lemon Orla, Easter Cup winner, going down the back, and you're thinking, well, Lemon Orla's in front, and she takes a much better line than Midra's opinion does around the last bend. He swings wide, gives away a bit of ground. Lemon Orla gets on top of the leader, Groucho's Gregor. I think you're right about that. Like it's probably the truest test of a greyhound. Like 750 is too far for a lot of greyhounds, but it's the three long straights in Shelburne Park, 600 yards. It's just the best. It's just a really really. It's a proper test of a greyhound, and it can take a little bit out of Groucho's Gregor. Like at halfway, you're saying, he could hold on here, but like and in fairness to the dog, he tried. He lost it. He lost it. You know where he lost most of his ground. He
Between
lost it
three
very
and four.
suddenly. Yeah, but three
Yeah.
and four exactly.
Like she
He
seemed she
just
seemed to take, she seemed to take 2.5 lengths off him in a matter of 10
yeah,
strides.
And like he's only beaten what, a length and a half, is it?
Yeah, length and a half.
Yeah, beaten length and a half. So like he lost it very quickly there on the crown of the bins for 11 hour that kind of seemed to close it. But Midra's opinion went very wide, swung wide off the last bin. But like it's some power pack display to come from behind Lemon Orla in the straight. And I
Yeah,
like there's, there's not a lot of time to get on top and to get on top by half a length. It's a terrific performance from a dog that's not overly raced. You know what I mean? For he's October 23, he's had about 17 races. I think that was number 17. It's a fair little performance. I liked it now, I have to say.
it's always been very obvious, Tommy, that he had a big engine. You know, from the very
Mm.
first days of his career, that he had a big engine. But for a lot of time, you think, well, it ain't going to happen for him over 525 or 550 yards because he's just not quite sharp enough. And then the other evening, like God, it was some run. Now you're going. Like, it was a good run, and you still get a bit of sport out of him over 550 yards, but like you can target all those 575, 600 yard competitions. Like the back end of the year is when if he stays fit and well, you'll have the likes of the open 575 or 600 on Derby final. Like if that's not to say if he's not in the Derby final or something like it, but then you have the Winter Racing Festival, and again you could pick up those valuable open 575 600s through the year. I know Corn
Mm.
Cuchulainn night, all races are going to be sponsored to €2,000. I heard that recently. Again, just pick up a couple of grand in a 575 600 because there's no question that this is the making of him. He really did stay on stoutly. Like he's still galloping strong into the escape. And again, you have further options with him. Maybe step him up to six bends as well. That'll always be in the back of my mind with a dog like this because I don't think it'll take an awful lot out of him. And yeah, just a fine power pack display. Obviously, he's Mydra's Dawn, who was owned by Maura Coskin. Obviously, Maura was the owner of Mydra's Opinion. She had dogs for many years. It's just great to see her winning a big one. But also, just a few weeks after, Bouncing Monarch wins the Kirby Memorial, Dearjet Sydney is after claiming another classic. Just rat-a-tat-tat, Tommy. Can't say I didn't tell you.
I was going to say that's the only reason you backed the other day, isn't it? 10-1. You saw Deirdre City. I have to back that.
I just love the way they go about it. I just think there's a real sort of will to win in them, and that was very opinion with Mydra's Opinion. Lemon Orla ran her race, Tommy. When she got to the front, I felt she's going to win now, and maybe she's been on the go for a long time. But she also probably ran into one, and that's probably the issue.
I don't. Yeah, then I'd be more of that opinion that she ran into one that she's beaten by a better dog on the night.
Mm.
Ran her heart out. It's done like it's gone from the Easter Cup to the 600 is difficult. It's a lot of racing, and you're stepping up in terms of difficulty because it's a tougher race. The 600 is a tougher physically. It's a tougher race on them. She's run her heart out yet again. She's as tough as teak. That's why I think it's such a good performance from the winner to actually get up to get by her in the straight. I think it's a really good performance, really good. I think it's I wouldn't like to underestimate it just because it was a five dog race and a couple of them didn't feature from an early stage. I still think that's a hell of a display from the winner.
Groucho's Gregor went so close, ran a big race. He's perhaps in many ways the dog to take out of it. He's a May 24 whelp. He's considerably younger than his rivals. In fact, his nearest rival in terms of age was Mydra's Opinion, who's in October 23.
Mhm.
And then you have to go back to January 23 for Lemon Hidalgo, who it just didn't happen for. He missed the kick and stayed wide. He needed to get on the bunny. That was the point I was making when I tipped him up to win the contest itself. Callaway Kinnegair again from trap four. I think we always knew the semi-final form sort of basically told you he was going to need to absolutely rock it out of boxes to get the run he probably needed in the early yards. But Groucho's Gregor going forward, being a May 24 whelp, you'd suspect now he'll get a week or two. Um, the likes of that champion 550, I think that's what the sort of you'd be targeting him for that. That 24 whelp 550 that always
Yeah.
runs in the middle of the summer. And see where you are with him because he has glimpses of form over four bends prior to sorry, over shorter trips, shall we say,
Right,
525,
right.
550. But I think now that he's after getting these sort of confident fillers, like he's doing a 593, a 599, a 599, like he can run to a corner. I don't think it'll be a problem going back to 550-yard boxes. He finds his trapping boots. I think he probably does have the pace to compete against some of the very best in training. So I wouldn't be too disheartened by being picked up because I think now you probably have a more complete greyhound.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's a 591 the other night in the final. Like
Yeah,
that's a
wow.
big step up on the semi final 599. He had a 593 in the first round. They're all good displays. Like it's amazing when you go back to his Limerick farm or Galway or whatever. He's doing ordinary sections. His previous farm in Shelburne Park, they're quite 215 for 525, 232, a 210. There was a 210 there on debut, 356 over 550. I mean, none of them are great. But I just wonder, will this give him a bit of a boost, and will he all of a sudden, when he goes back to 550 or to 525, will he break a little bit better? If he does, I tell you, he's potential to take on the best of them. I know maybe not the very best of them, might be sharper again, but I mean, I look forward to seeing him back over 550 now after that run, a couple of weeks time, 2 3 weeks time, see him back over 550 and see what he's capable of.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I saw this dog listed for sale somewhere at one point, and then they ran him in a 600 before the competition, and all of a sudden the talk of the sale is gone. And I think they're right. They're probably looking for a good dog. They felt maybe he's just not going to be quite up to it, and I think the last few weeks have been a bit of an eye opener for him. That 591 that equates to some. That's really quick. That's really quick. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too concerned. Like when you consider there's two classic winners in the race. Obviously the winner, Midra's Opinion and Lemon Hidalgo, all very talented greyhounds. He absolutely left them standing to halfway, and that's what you take out of the race, not what happened thereafter. But he left them standing to halfway, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a great sign. There's plenty of potential for him. You said like he's considerably younger than the rest of them. It's a good effort. Look, there wasn't a huge amount of early pace in the race, but at the same time, I mean, look at the section. Don't mind what he's leading. You know what I mean? Just look at the section.
Yeah, no, it's big. Yeah, some fine performances in the final, including, of course, the winner, Midra's Opinion. Congratulations once again to Maura Costigan and to Owen McKenna. He certainly did a job for you. Fantastic run up the home straight to get there. Wins by a half length in the end. I didn't think it was quite a half length, but it was. They were wide apart in the track, as you said, Tommy. He came up the wide outside and got there on the line, and a deserving winner because you're coming from third, showing all that pace and power. You deserve your success. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here with him. Tommy, just a couple of other performances on Saturday night we want to talk about at Shelburne Park. The opener was won by Drewby's Map. 30.72 for the 575-yard trip. This is a greyhound who we've spoken about numerous times. He's a fast starter, tends to get a bit caught into the opening corner. That's over 525, maybe a little bit over 550. Against 575-yard greyhounds, which included, it did include the Laurels champion Magical on Fire, who first time in those boxes didn't get a flyer and just a little bit of crowning early. But Drewby's Map did everything right from trap six. I thought he was going to cut inwards, went up straight as a die, and got to that corner. And once doing so, well, we know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to hold his line down the back straight and then kick again from the third bend. I keep saying it. He looks every inch going to be a 750-yard star. But this might just delay his step up to six bends because it was a hell of a run. Like this was the type of run that would have put him right in the firing line in the Open 600 final.
It would just that as you say that again those yards into the event like Magical Fire hasn't been breaking as well since the Laurels final, and she showed in Cork. All the pace was there, but she just wasn't getting around in Cork. She showed savage pace into the bend the other night and got checked up behind the leader and lost ground. And actually, I mean, if I was a betting man on photo finishes, I'd have said it was certainly she was second. She'd beaten Shorthead for second. Um, she actually ran a hell of a race, and I'd give her another go over 575 for definite. And Ballyhooly Bruno was a strong stayer. So this is like Brooky's Map's power up the straight is deeply impressive. Now
Mm.
he's out in trap six, and to get across as an inside seed from trap six because he's tight to the rails up the straight, up the home straight. This is a proper display. I would love to have seen what Magical and Fire would have been or what she would have done had she never mind the break that can happen, but had she got around without trouble, just see how she might have challenged Droopy's Map, but because she stayed well to the line as well, it would have been a hell of a race. But I mean, in 30.72, how good a race could it have been? Like how tight could it have been? I'm not sure, but because I think he's power packed up the straight.
Yeah,
It's look at the purpose of his stride as he's going up the straight. That's what impressed me most.
yeah, I like him. I really do. We've spoken numerous times about him and what a sort
Yeah,
of a touch of a project dog. Um, Con Guiney got his hands on him, and I like Con is as shrewd as the day is long. Uh, whatever road he goes down, and I did speak to him briefly at Limerick before weigh-in that I said he's made for six bends, and he tended to agree. So I just wouldn't be surprised if he was in the Corn Cuchulainn, and if he is, I would suggest he's going to be a fair player. He's going to be a fair player. The final race in the card, Tommy, I was just skipping to the final race in the card. I just thought it was a couple of notable performances here. Sober Barry, he really is going the right way for Carl Ramsbottom and Sean Malone. Like, this was win number 11. Win number 11 from what? From 15.
Team
Um,
races. Mm.
it's a fairly impressive record. He went through the McCalmont Cup down at Kilkenny. It was an A1 competition, and you could see by him he was just a step above them. He was a step above them. He's very much an open race greyhound running in an A1 competition. The card was well looked after prior to that stake, shall we say? And here we are, three races back at Shelburne Park. He got traffic the first night, wins in 28:32 on April 18th, and then the other night off a 2:02, 15:80 something to the third bend. I think it was 15:82, does 28:15. Brilliant run from the front. And if you're just looking at him, you're going, wow, what a performer. He's a ringer for Check for Cash, Tommy, his kennel companion.
Yeah.
Carl Ramsbottom, I said it to him the other night. He says, yeah, he's that sort of dog. Carl reckons this fella probably might have a touch more early speed. I tend to agree with him. Whereas Check for Cash was
Yeah.
a great starter and would maintain it to the corner. This fella quite often has given his rivals that half a yard and then just gone whoosh into the corner. I think he's got really brilliant early speed. And it would have been all about him, but for the fact that Waiting for a Star showed absolutely awesome pace in second spot. These are two greyhounds that must be in the notebook going forward.
Yeah, I think the only time that Sullivan been beaten in Shelburne so far, I think he had 5 runs, was the night he did 218. But since that 218, when he was third behind Drupes Winsome, he's done 205 and 202. He's very much getting used to Shelburne Park.
Mm.
It's terrific early pace. Waiting for a Star, still just doesn't seem to have a clue how to do it right. And yet the pace is just, like, I mean, you get buffeted about the first bend the other night, and you're thinking, well, that'll be it now. Like, you finish in midfield, and we'll watch him again the next day. And then he just takes off down the back, the pace. He mightn't have found a huge amount in the last maybe 25, 50 yards, but he'd done so much running to that point. I think that can be forgiven. I mean, to get the trouble and get the bit pushed around a bit the first bend, show that down the back. I mean, it's going to happen for him. It's going to happen for him someday. When it does, I'd love to see. I can't wait to see what the clock will be. It'll be
And he's
huge.
not.
Like, he has
You can see by him, Tommy. He's not devoid of early speed. He has pace into the
no.
corner. He's just leaving himself with too much to do, and he's arriving probably at the corner at the wrong time now. Step up to 550 yards just seems absolutely natural for him. He will appreciate the slightly longer run to the bend because he is motoring by the time the corner arrives over 525 yards. Also, maybe taking on a fraction less sharp of a greyhound. Like these are proper 525 yard dogs. Let's not kid ourselves. Waiting for a Star is very much a dog. Like, if I told you he's going to run the Champion 550 and the first night he, you know, get to the front in the corner, take a bump, and go on and win in 29:60, but he'd win the final by 6 lengths in 29:10, you wouldn't be surprised in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, like he was, he seemed to be improved. He was a bit unlucky below Limerick in the Kirby Memorial because he was after doing his sectionals in there were 143, 142, 136, and then he did 139. Then he got knocked out, but he was out in trap six, and it was a difficult draw. He's not being beset by great draws for a dog that's an inside seed. 3-4, 3-6-5, five the other night, 220. I'd imagine that can be a 215 next week and a 210 the following week, and he'll improve. He still seems to be just learning a lot. That he seems to be. He's a June pup. Plenty more to come from him. I can't wait to see the night he breaks just to see what he might do.
Yeah, oh, here. I'll hopefully be there. We move on. We're going to go to the Select Stakes in Waterford, Tommy, because it went the way of Bogger Bob. Like, obviously, it was very much about the inside duo in terms of the betting. Beano's Yankin won and Magical Luca in trap two. Magical Luca just completely stumbled at boxes. And that created the race because he charged up into the opening corner, checked off wide when there was nowhere to go. And all of a sudden, from popping out Bogger Bob to being outpaced into the opening corner to sit last, he then found himself challenging for second off the second bend, goes second behind Beano's Yank. And, the previous week he'd run on like a train behind Beano's Yank to be beaten only half length. So the other night it was sort of the writing was on the wall off the second bend. And just made up that ground really quickly, went through on the inside and went on to score in 28:57. A good run for Bogger Bob, great for Liam Peacock, who's had plenty of good dogs in recent years. It's notable that this fellow is by Callaway Pro-Am, who of course started as Bogger Bible, was a hell of a fast greyhound. Is starting to throw some really, really fast greyhounds, including perhaps one of the UK's best in Underground Gold. We may speak about him later on. But this Bogger Bob, just a nice, hard running greyhound, Tommy.
Yeah, it's a nice display. Look, Magic and Luca missing the kick made our stomach started go down his belly nearly. It's made some difference because, in fairness to the dog, he recovered remarkably well. Showed huge pace. The pace he showed into the bend after what happened early is remarkable. That he's actually impacting those that are in second and third place going into the bend. It's just that's monstrous stuff. That is, it really is. I wouldn't underplay that at all. That's savage stuff. It's a shame just for the race itself that we didn't get to see what he's capable of. Beano's Yank. I know Bogger Bob was staying on very well the last day behind him, but like Beano's Yank, it's probably just a little bit of residuals from Limerick and how
It's
well he
it,
ran
it's
and get to the
it's
final
the
in the
Kirby
Kirby.
hangover, Tommy, and we'll be definitely talking about it later on. But
Yeah,
he just looked tired, didn't he?
yeah, he did because I think to be honest about it, if you gave him 3 weeks off and put him in that race and said, okay, we'll put you 2 lengths clear out the second bend. I mean, I'm expecting him to probably do 28:10, like,
Yeah,
and win by 5 or 6 because I just think I'm not taking that away from the winner. It's a lovely performance, and the way he skated through the tracking to skate through along the inside between the third and fourth bends was impressive, and it's great for Liam Peacock. Plenty of good dogs, plenty of hard work gone into these dogs. So I mean, it's a great result in many ways. But just on the runner up, I think it's just a residual. It's just a bit of like you said, a hangover from Limerick. Because in fairness, it does show one thing for Bino Jack. It shows what heart he has. I
yeah.
mean, you've had a series of difficult or of demanding, not difficult, demanding races in Limerick, and you've done really well down there, and you've come here and you got to a final, and you got to the front. He's probably done as much as his heart could do for him. I mean, his legs could do for him at this stage. I think it's a great run in defeat, but Bogger Bob was so powerful, and I like his tracking as well. Lovely bit of tracking between the third and fourth bends, and pace. Not
If you look
let's
through
not
his
underplay
cards,
it
like
either.
he's run over 600 yards. There's going to
Yeah,
be no shortage of possible targets for this fellow either. You can go wherever you
yeah.
want.
He's lightly raced as well, relatively lightly raced. He's had about 15 races or something like that. You can have plenty of fun with him. You have to picking up some pot there as well, though.
Yeah, it's a good pot, a very good pot. €10,000 going the way to Pog Bob, Liam Peacock. I saw some very happy faces in the presentation
Yeah,
area, so
yeah,
everyone delighted with their nice work, and why wouldn't they be? And again, such versatility with this dog. You can go anywhere you want. You can run him 525, 550, 575, 600. Who knows? They might try him over further down the line. Bino's Yank in second spot. I would suggest he's probably going to have a rest now. You could see him arriving back for something like the Race of Champions or something like that, but I'd say he'll get a few weeks anyway. Shanahy Boomer back in third. Magical Luca. We wait to see where he appears next. I suspect there might be a return to Dundalk at some point because you know the 400 is calling.
it really is.
Yeah.
Talking to one of the connections of Shannon Boom, and they were delighted with the run the other night. Just that he'd be in Shelburne Park probably next weekend, hopefully. Um, so
A
so
dog that basically when you consider his card at Curraheen Park, his best has often arrived at Shelburne. That's where he's really produced his best. So yeah, good consistent performer, tremendous early speed, and one to keep an eye on going forward. That is the select stakes, Tommy. Now we're gonna listen. We'll have to be brief. We'll come back to it, the Project Stakes in the coming weeks. But there were 8 heats on Friday night at Clonmel. It sort of nearly escaped me, to be honest. It was only the next morning I remembered and caught back up on it. Some fine performances throughout. Some very familiar names, but one not so familiar name. Yeah, I had seen him run myself. I had commentated on once. Swords Diamond. He does an 18:54 in his second race at Shelburne Park. Effectively, that was his debut because he got knocked over in Kilkenny on his debut in an ON2. Nice to get a dog in like that, Tommy, into an ON2. We were talking about it beforehand. He wins in 28:14 the other night. And like this was a contest where there wasn't an awful lot of traffic in behind. Like Sawdust Barry, 28-20 dog in Shelburne Park. Sure Exile, as consistent as the day is long. He's got any amount of wins on his card, all decent performances. Nicky Swithin, who had been so impressive at Waterford the previous week in 28-29. And this Swords Diamond left them absolutely standing. Yeah, so Tommy, the question is this the dog that Swords Rex is going to hang his hat on and say, this is what I can produce? Because Swords Diamond, Tommy, literally could be anything.
He definitely could. It's a hell of a performance. I looked when I watched the video. The first thing I looked back to see what size he was. He looked like an impressive specimen. 81, a big 81 pounder too. I'm not surprised at that when I just saw it. He's only a September pup. I mean, third run, 28-14, winning 8 lengths. It's relentless. He's staying as he's running hard to the line. He's doing everything you want. You talked about it and you went through the race, all the quality that was in behind. Yeah, it's a hell of a display. Really is.
Yeah, he just looks like he's everything. Tommy, obviously, he's won a sprint in 1854 at Shelburne Park, a raw novice. Comes out in effectively his first 525 race, and he wins 28-14 on a night when like there's like dogs there that if the Derby was starting tomorrow, they'd be amongst the top 10 of the betting. And he's absolutely ragged them in terms of the clock. And his performance was just off the charts. It was just a phenomenal performance. He just looks really, really, really exciting.
But look at this sprint in Shelburne Park. It's a great video to watch actually to give you an idea what his ability is. Look at this stride in this first 50 yards, and he runs green around the first two around the bends in the crown of the bend in Shelburne Park, and kind of wavers in and out a little bit. Still is 1854. I think it's pretty obvious that what they thought of him if he was going into a sprint doing that in Shelburne on his first ever time in the sprint. It's a hell of an effort. You watching that video, Ian? It's really worth watching the first
No,
50
I'll just
yards
check
of
it up.
that.
Glennegat Mildred, she might be familiar to you, Tommy. My old pal Untold Dollar was from a previous litter. Um, I was down with Graham for the Legacy when we were doing an interview with him, and he just said to
Yeah.
me, "Oh, there's 3 or 4 pups there, and they're Swords Rex Glennegat Mildred." So like he might have been one of them, just sort of running around the place, happy as a lamb. Like they would have like he probably nearly had a race at that point, but yeah, he just looks a hell of a good greyhound. Outside of him, some big performances by some well known names. Trap one was certainly a place to be. Tommy, in the first 4 heats, each of the 4 heats went to Trap one. Now, when you look at the betting, it's probably no surprise they were all fancied runners, with maybe the exception of Avara Warrior, who has a 4-1 chance. But he has form in the book, like he's a talented greyhound.
No, it's great to see him win for Ken Bustede. And the sire, you'll be a big fan. JK, if in fairness to JK Fly as well, who
Mhm.
had been in Limerick, and we talked about down in the final in Limerick and Kirby. He actually showed great heart to finish second,
Yeah,
because he missed the kick, had to battle first position, really had to battle to get into second place. And Vivario Warrior played
It's
well.
not that he missed his kick, but he just got immediately crowded, sort of lost his pitch rather than missed the kick completely. Like, he didn't take the flyer that we've seen him take.
Relative to what he can do,
Yeah.
he is for him. I have him down as yeah. He breaks and he comes out a little bit. The five dog goes in a little bit. There's a little bit of bumping in it. Checks the momentum. I thought he showed great heart. I wouldn't rule him out of winning that, even though I would concern. Obviously, he has had a few weeks break. Since the Kirby final. I wouldn't rule him out of it yet. I think I like the performance. I liked what he showed. Um, for a dog that would have massive early pace. I liked
Yeah.
what he showed in terms of determination.
There's no doubt you're a fan. We'll go through a couple of the other heat winners. Cushy Flight Plan just does what Cushy Flight Plan does. He turned prominently enough, shows good pace down the back straight, and just overpowers his rivals. Brother Thomas was the favourite here. Of course, Brother Thomas, that was his first run as Brother Thomas, was Blackstone Lexus for Michael O'Donovan. He had flown in a trial at Tralee, 27.73, but again, just didn't happen for him the other night. I still think he's very much a project dog in the sense where just he's still quite a tall gallop, and he just needs that little bit of space.
Yeah,
Need to sharpen up at boxes. He's a brother to Waiting for a Star. Not dissimilar, Tommy. You know, just
yeah.
not quite there yet, but you can see it's coming.
Yeah, he does. He does seem to have that, as you say, the kind of that gallop. It just things just need to tidy up. You're not surprised when you see. Well, although probably should be 27.73, which is a hell of a gallop.
Oh yeah.
But I'm still not that mad surprised because I think back to his couple of runs in the first rounds of the juvenile classic. Was it? He was, yeah,
No,
juvenile classic. He was in.
was it Clonmel, was it? No.
No, Tralee. He
Oh, it
was
was
in the
Juvenile
juvenile.
Classic, big pardon, yeah, yeah.
He was in the juvenile classic. I remember I remember talking about the night he beat Silent Noel impressively in the first round.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, second round. It's just he's not to be given up on yet. Obviously,
No,
I mean,
certainly not.
it's just things isn't happening at all.
Hackney Dancer was a good winner of the second heat.
Yeah,
Another winner for Michael O'Donovan. It's funny, like this is a dog that started in sprints at Shelburne Park in an open sprint competition. He won an ON1 sprint in 1873, and you think, oh, he's going to be from the front. He won his first round heat in the was it the first round heat in the Kirby or his prep run? No, it was this prep run before the Kirby in 28-27 from the front, and since then, like this was the first time he's led actually since then, but it was from the halfway that he sort of made his damage, did his damage. He looked sort of stronger. 28-62, a decent run. Vivaro Warrior, as you mentioned, Tommy. We saw plenty of him around Clonmel earlier in the year, showed loads of promise. The fact that he knows his way around the place certainly stood to him, but like he looked comfortable on the bunny. 28-42, good run by him. JK Fly in second spot, as you said. A lot to like about that performance. Scooby Marquez. I was encouraged by this fella's performance because I've seen a bit of him in Shelburne Park, and he'd sort of done the rounds. He'd been in Cork, Clonmel, Shelburne, Kilkenny, back to Shelburne, back to Cork, now to Clonmel, and I saw him pop out one night in Shelburne, does a 28-12 run. It was a hell of a performance, but just in one or two of his other races, he just looked a bit sort of just not sharp enough at boxes. He's shown a huge pace in the sprint at Shelburne Park in defeat behind a dog called Early Payout back in February. Um, I was very encouraged by the way he came away and just did it the other night. It was really professional. 28-36. He's the second fastest winner on the card, the second fastest qualifier. Lot to like about him.
things like about him. Look if you're gonna be looking for a little detail to see can you win a competition like this. I think the sections need to probably drop down into sub 280s probably for electric early pace kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's where when I start seeing 279, 278, I'm thinking there's a proper early pacer around Clonmel. Now I don't know, I can't tell you what the sections have been like in recent times and do them. And maybe the one that Swords Diamond did, which was a 280, I think 280, yeah, 280. I think maybe that's as much as you can do at the moment. I'm not sure now, but it's that's pretty fast. But you want to be dipping in to be really truly top class early pace. You want to be dipping under the 280. So like he's at 287 at the moment. He needs to probably find a length in that maybe.
Yeah. Notable, the new win Spot was third behind him. He was made the favourite in the contest. He sort of struggled since the unraced stake in Clonmel. Obviously, they thought the world of him. I remember he was coming in for strong support through that competition. It didn't happen for him in the final, having really impressed in the semi-finals. I just wonder that it's a bit like Fate Point Ranger last year. He just sort of went off the boil for a
Yes.
while and really came back to it
Mm.
towards the end of the year. I think they're just trying to find a way back with this fella at the moment. He was third, obviously he's still there. It'd be interesting to see how he performs next week. He five obviously went the way of Swords Diamond. He was just brilliant, simple as that.
Yeah.
He just looks a hell of a good greyhound.
Looking for fresh fundraising ideas for your club or community group? Join us at Curraheen Park Greyhound Stadium on Friday, May 8th at 6:30 p.m. for a fundraising information evening. Enjoy refreshments on arrival, hear from a special guest speaker, and be in with a chance to win a free fundraising night for your organisation. Bring a friend, share ideas, and connect with others in your community. Register now at www.curraheenparkgreyhoundstadium.ie and be part of something inspiring this May.
Yeah, Heat 6, Ardford Sam wins from Powerhouse Major. But the dog I want to talk about, Tommy, is Berlin Trilogy. He's back in third. It says early pace faded run in. I think that's a bit unfair to him. He actually showed a bit of foot to get into second spot, and Powerhouse Major's really strong. So Berlin Trilogy's just edging in the whole way to the opening corner. I want to see where he can be. I want to see the very best of him because he's shown huge ability. Hopefully he gets a run next night and gets loose early to see where he actually is, Tommy. But I think there's still a hell of a greyhound in there.
Oh, there's a hell of a ground in there. I think you can ignore a lot of like comments are they're just limited because obviously there's a formula by which you can use and that's it. So you're limited. Like nobody looks at 298 and says early pace. Like I mean, it's not like he walked out. I mean, 298 is pedestrian really, but he did show a lot of determination to get into second place. So I agree with you. There's a little bit of an inconsistency in his sectionals. Like he goes from 322 to 358 and the comment in the second ever run is lacked early pace. Then he goes from 135 to 127 in Limerick. There's a big difference between those two as well. And he's 298, which is slow in Clonmel. So there's just an inconsistency in him. He's only had 5 runs. There's plenty of time to figure it out.
Yeah. And this is the thing, Tommy. And the 2 nights he got loose, it is worth pointing out he was in traps 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I think he's very much a railer at this point in his life. And if he was to get trap one, I haven't seen the second round draw, but like he's very much going to be a different prospect from the inside. There's no question about it. Certainly at this stage in his career.
If a dog qualifies in one of his qualifying heats in Curraheen Park and he doing 28-20, and then he comes out and debut does 322
Yeah.
and 28-20, 28-12. I mean, if that doesn't scream to you, this is a potential derby dog. Nothing does now. Maybe stamina and all that might be an issue down the line, but like he's definitely that class, that type of class. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Just things aren't going right for him. That's fine. It will come. You've got to, the only thing you can't give the dogs if they don't have it is real pace. Is the rest you can try to teach a little bit of the racing. You can try your best to kind of get them as healthy, fit and healthy and happy as you can, so they can produce their best. He's got it all. It's just not happening at the moment. That's okay.
We sort of glossed over the winner there, Ardford Sam. He just does it professionally. He flashes out, makes every inch a 283. He had a 299 around Tralee back in March. Like this dog can go to a corner. He's a good card. Brendan Mansell obviously has him purring at present. He's definitely a dog that can go well because he's going to have his draw most nights. I assume he's a white seed. Hang on, check that. Uh,
Middle seed.
Middle
It was a
seed.
wide seed 2 runs ago. It was middle seed the other night.
Yeah, and has raced from the outside in the past as well as a wide seed in over sprints actually at Tralee. So a dog with plenty of early speed. Just don't be surprised to see him go around or two. Drewby's Winsome won the next heat from first past the post, and this was very much a race that if it was in Shelburne Park, this is how you were expecting it to go because first past the post does exactly what he does in Shelburne, shows terrific early speed, just doesn't quite get home, whereas Droopy's Winsome probably lacks a yard early and finishes like a train. So off the second bend, there was only going to be one winner, there was only going to be one outcome. Droopy's Winsome came through to land the spoils in 28:42. He's improving night on night. He's gone from sort of looking like a dog going, I'm not sure he'll have a trip, to all of a sudden, like he's won 4 of his last 5. There's nothing wrong with that, Tommy. He's improving all the time. He's really, really strong, and he'll only improve for a step up and trip in time. And the last Shotgun Des, perhaps the most interesting of the runners, Tommy, sent off the 4 to 5 favourite, obviously National Puppy Stake winner, a dog who I really, really did fall for at Shelburne Park. He runs a remarkable opening corner, opening 2 bends, certainly at Shelburne Park. He had trialled very well at Toaster over 2 bends on 2 different occasions. So I think we all thought maybe he was going to go for the English Derby, but maybe when you look at this run, the fact that he built a clear advantage and he holds on by a half length, they maybe felt he just probably wasn't far enough forward for an English Derby challenge. But by God, if he keeps improving through this competition, he's a big player.
Notable that I thought watching the race that he absolutely flew to the bend, and he did 282. So that probably tells us where like what a 280 is now, and that kind of goes in line a little bit with what I said earlier on. Um, Regarding early sections. Notable that he tried and toasted trap one. He ran out of trap one the other day, but he definitely went to trap three early, showing
Mm.
that pace. He's probably given away probably 2 spots doing that maybe. But he's definitely moved a little bit middle, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 out as far as three, and then ran a good line, a good bend because of it. Just be interesting if he tightened that up a little bit now because he's got electric early pace.
Yeah, his first run in over 6 months, Tommy. Like it sort of says
Yeah,
it all, doesn't it?
yeah, it does.
It's like if you weren't taking into account anything else and just say he's after winning his 5th race in a row after a 6 month layoff, he's after getting back to winning ways. Like you'll go, lovely, job done, move on. He's a big player. There's no question about it. While we're on while we're on it, we'll move just briefly on. The Prodigy Stakes will continue this weekend. Just a couple of race to mention from Curryheen Park on Saturday night. The Pegasus Cup, Tommy, it's worth good money. It's an A2 525. Neither winner will be A2 in the future. You'd suspect Tetra Destiny wins in 28.36 and Oriental King in 28.63. Good money for this type of competition. The Pegasus was a famous competition in Cork for many, many years, I believe, and they're trying to bring it back a bit. It's an A2, but some decent dogs coming out of it.
Decent odds coming out of it is right. Good quality race. And I also hear that a couple of people report to me there was a huge bet on the night on the track on Desert Flower, who won the 750, but impressively won by 9 lengths. So, yeah, it's good to hear that things are vibrant in Curryheen Park at the moment.
Good, good, good. Good to see a 750 on the card. More importantly, 41.65 for Kieran Lynch. Wins 9 lengths. Wow, okay. That escaped me. That's a good run. We're going to end up with just a brief sort of look, Tommy, at England. Obviously, we had 28 heats over 2 nights. They were both marathon sessions. Some some very notable eliminations. Ballymaxatanta, it was too much for him. Not having the trial and the long run through the Kirby Memorial, he actually showed remarkable pace to get involved. The same could be said for Bocco's Diamond, but ultimately both sort of ran into traffic at the wrong time and faded out of contention. Yeah, I think Bocco's Diamond has certainly been reported fine. I feel that Ballymaxatanta is probably fine too, but I'm sure he'll be given a bit of a rest now.
Yeah, I thought the commentary was a bit. You can commentate entitled to say what he likes, in fairness, and have an opinion. But like to say that, no trial, no second round, I thought that was a bit glib, to be honest about it. I think it doesn't take into account that had he had a trial, I think it would have had an impact anyway. So I mean, it might have delayed. I think it might have delayed inevitable. I didn't fancy Ballymaxatanta for English Derby. I said it here last week, purely on the basis of you know the demands of the Kirby Memorial. Huge demands on a greyhound. It takes a bit out of them. It's a real test. It's at the very top level. They were doing huge times in Limerick. It was going to leave a mark. Um, like you could look at low profile who I thought had a chance, and you could say, well, he did have a run in Toaster and popped out, and then he missed the kick completely. The number of dogs that did it. I also think there's one thing I did notice, right, which I did, and I might be completely wrong about this. It wouldn't be the first time I'd be completely wrong, but the Bathurst Diamonds racing. Did you know what's happening about that? I felt right. This is the way I saw it. Buckler Diamond to me, the bend at the moment invites you to turn far too early. All right, this is my opinion on it now. Again, with the proviso that I really don't have a clue what I'm talking about. He ran a straight line from six, right? A straight line as far as I can see. But that straight line is cutting, is cramping all the dogs inside
Hmm.
while he's doing it. He nearly put, as far as again, the video is hard to ask him. He nearly put Colours of Green in over the rails because he seemed to hit him, and Colours of Green's back end hit the rails and bounced back out on I think, but I don't think he was edging in. I don't think he was diving in. I don't think Bacchus Diamond was doing that apart from going for a straight line to get around that bend. And it invites you far too early, so it means that it gets very crowded in the first bend. So if you do things, you said it off air. We're talking about you've got to position yourself at the first bend. You really, really have to. I mean, if you don't hit it, you're in a lot of trouble. I mean, Bacchus Diamond showed all sorts of pace, and even again, he got completely done again the fourth bend when he was going to qualify and lost, or between the third and fourth bends and lost all chance. So look at I came away a little bit just not entirely happy with the whole thing, to be honest about it. That's looking at it, and I don't think the fact that Ballymaxatanta had no trial there made a material difference. He missed the kick, showed all sorts of pace. There isn't a lot of room when you miss the kick and you get knocked out. It's a bit
Well,
of a
like
shame.
as you said it, Tommy. A number of dogs missed the kick. Like you look at Ballymac De Niro, who came through to win. He
Yeah,
missed the kick. And
savage pace.
Lenny's
Wow, he
Tank
probably impressed
completely
me
missed the
most.
kick, and he found a way around to win. There was plenty of others. Cheap Sandwiches completely walked out of boxes. You know what I
Walked out.
mean? And like there was incidents from start to finish of dogs missing the kick completely. Like even one or two of the UK's best went out. Like Romeo Tomcat was been spoken of as a winner. he missed the kick and sort of just could never get involved at all. It was strange. But let's talk about maybe one or two of the winners. And there were plenty of them. Obviously, there were 13 Irish trained winners over the 2 nights. Just the first round, the first night, Price's Romeo kicked off proceedings, beating Ballymac Ralph. Now, the dog that they were passing, Silverhill Adam, has subsequently been withdrawn because I watched that heat. Went, well, that's it. Like he's on top of their best dogs in one of the finals recently. That's it. Ireland are we're just a step above them. The dog's been pulled out since, so maybe it just didn't quite give you the guide. I thought both of them ran very well, Price's Romeo, and I thought Ballymac Ralph showed really, really plenty of strength. Glengar Kane, Get Up the Boy were first and second in Heat 2. So all of a sudden, 2 heats in, two first and second place finishes, and then we had Heat 4, we had a winner. We had Heat 6 a winner. You're going, oh, this is lovely. Then all of a sudden, Bocco's diamond goes out. Colours are green. Lucky to survive that opening bend, as you say. He was nearly
very well to qualify.
Lenny's Eddie goes through in second. I actually was very impressed with him, even though he was beaten at odds on. Heat 10, Glengar Silent, Ballabula Joe shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like Glengar Silent sneaks through after walking out of boxes. Another dog that walked out. Ballymac Malinas showed loads of pace but finishes fifth. Epic Ace then, and then all of a sudden we get back to sort of winning ways. Epic Ace, Ballymac Stud, Ballymac Duffel. Ballymac Duffel smashing the track record in the final heat. It was very much a night of mixed luck, shall we say, that first night for the Irish, but I thought there was plenty to take out of some of the dogs that went through, and then obviously there were all the disappointments, but I was so impressed with Ballymac Duffel, obviously enough. I would like to see him painted into the red jacket. That's not happening the next round, but there is a little bit of extra room. I think there's a non-runner in the race itself. Ballymac Stud, really impressed with him. If he keeps trapping like that, he's a player. I thought Epic Ace was very good, Tommy. This was Epic Ace. Now, it was a typically Epic Ace performance. He gives them a half length, the length that boxes, but he has all the pace in the world. And when I'm not sure I've ever seen him do what he did in the second half of the contest, where he has to really drive through and get through on the inside. He did it, and he emerged a very good winner.
Yeah, look, there were some great performances on the night. Ballymac Duffel, obviously, smashing track record. We said it was a 101 last week. The track record would go, and maybe it'll probably go again. Although 28:37 is a good, it's a very good run. And it mightn't be so easy to get a clear run in as the quality tightens up. Again, he went down the curve a little easier than I'd like. I just think there's a little bit of there's still a little bit of education in him. You know what I mean? That he needs to kind of get up to that level. I'd like to know what I'm going to get every single week. We talked about him in the Juvenile Classic. I'd say we spoke about him, how we really liked him. His pace, he showed pace one day, kind of going by dogs on the outside when he was in trap one, actually one night in the Juvenile Classic. And we thought, wow, this is a proper dog, and he is a proper dog, obviously. But it just, because he's been promoted towards the head of the market now, you kind of have to look for the little chinks in the armor. And I think I'd just like to see what sections he can do early, where it might get him, as things tighten up. I absolutely loved the performance of Glengar Kane. I couldn't believe it, I'll be honest about it, when I was watching his live.
I was coming straight back to him because it was funny enough. Steve Nash, the photographer, I got chatting to him on the Tuesday night at the preview over in the Star Sports preview night, and he said to me, he said, listen, he says, I still keep my hand in, I get to the track, and he says, I like to get to the trial sessions, and he said I fell in love with a greyhound during the trial session. He said, Glengar Kane, he says, you want to see this, he's the most big, powerful, the most wonderfully built greyhound you've ever seen, and to watch him in full stride is a joy. He looks a hell of a prospect. Obviously he remains unbeaten. He beats Get Up the Boy, and he sort of disrespected him in a sense where he went, just get out of my way. I think
two things about that. I think Glengar Kane did a 390, and I think there's probably 10 or 14 spots in that. He can go to record stuff on sections. He really, really can. I think it was a little bit of greenness, a little bit of lack of racing recently. I thought Get Up the Boy finished second purely on heart. I think there's a bit of a hangover from Limerick as well there, and I don't, I'd find it hard to fancy him for an English Derby now. If he goes and wins an English Derby, he's made of steel. He's that good. I'm a big fan of the dog. I think the ability he has, but I think it's going to be very hard for him. I felt that was purely on heart. I just thought there was a kind of a stylishness, kind of an ease with which the pace which Glengar Kane showed. And I said, I asked about this dog a couple of times over the last few weeks, because I don't know anything about him apart from seeing that he broke a track record in Enniscorthy. But nobody'd seen him since December in a race. So, it's hard to kind of know what you have. And again, the second run back would tell you a lot more than the first run back. But I thought there was an ease with which he went through gears. I just absolutely adored that performance. I really did. I thought it was a good first night's racing, but like you said, few ups, few downs.
I did want to mention one thing. It was something
Yeah,
that came into my mind on the night. The first three heat winners, right? Priceless Romeo, Glengar Kane, Texas Jack, right? Three very talented greyhounds. Uh, and obviously, it's the fortune in me, but all three of them started in Enniscorthy. You know,
yeah,
it just goes to show like these tracks, they produce champions, and while Enniscorthy, it's a struggle for them, and it's volunteer based effectively. You know, look at what comes out of it. Another dog that comes out of it, probably nearly favourite for the English Derby. Proper ARS ran his first race at Enniscorthy, so
yeah.
it just it just twigged with me. It was something I just wanted to mention. But I agree with you with Glengar Kane. It looks so easy, even from his first trial at Toaster. He just looked at home. Like his racing line is so true and tight. He's a really well balanced greyhound. He could be anything going forward. There's no question about it. I know Pat thinks the world of him. It's obvious why he does. But now I think people are starting to take notice. Like he goes off 4-7 the other night off the back of
Yeah.
a couple of sprint trials at Toaster. Like he's taken on a juvenile derby champion. Do you know what I mean? And some talented trackers. And he makes light work of his task. 28.60 off a 390, Tommy. If he does as you say, if he does a 380 and a 28.40 next week, it's no surprise to anyone.
No, none to me anyway. I just like look at because of the lack of runs, you always have the big question mark. Is there a bounce factor? Probably not. He's been kept fresh for. I'm sure there hasn't been must have been some degree of a hold up to maybe not. But I just thought the ease at which he moved through the gears, it was just sometimes something just hits you. And I don't know anything about the dog really apart from what I saw the other night because I've never seen his races in even in Enniscorthy. So he's wildly exciting as what he is.
Yeah, fast greyhound. We'll move on to the second
The
night.
funny thing, sorry. The funny thing is, I was looking at the betting the other day, and I would say there seemed to be a bit of interest behind him in the betting at one stage, and then two other Pat Buckley dogs got backed in short on them before the start of the competition.
Silence and Hackney Corner.
Yeah, there seemed to be bombs for them for the off. So
Yeah.
you're
I'm
kind of
not
going,
sure. I'm
hold
not
on a
sure I
second.
told Pat. I definitely told people though that my order of preference for Pat's before the competition started was Glengar Kane, Hackney Corner, Glengar Silent because I don't think Glengar Silent. I just don't think Toaster's made for him in any way, shape, or form. Um, Hackney Corner more so just. I want to see him doing it over a full competition.
Yeah,
But Glengar Kane at the time, you often sort of favour promise. And the fact that he'd already shown ability, we knew it was there. So I just thought it was great to see him getting off the mark, and hopefully he continues with it. But yeah, I was surprised as well. I was surprised by Glengar Silent was favourite in places.
yeah, yeah. And the price is down to 12 or 14 to 1 or something in places. I just thought, I think it's okay. It's okay. I come across that, and people seem to have a dislike to me at times because of the way I talk about things here. But it's okay to have a doubt and have a kind of concern about things, and like to want more evidence when if you're a punter, like you saying you want more evidence from Hackney Corner. I think we know all the abilities there. I think even when we seemed to have lost form last year, there was significant money for him for the Winter Racing Festival. Now he didn't win; he
Yeah.
finished third, but he ran very well. It was a sign of the confidence that was behind him. He was taking on cheap sandwiches and Ballymac Satanta, I think, if memory serves, and so there was a confidence behind him. Obviously what he's capable of. The same thing you talked about. You must have been talking to Pat Buckley. You mentioned it here in the past that in the past few weeks that there was a confidence behind Hackney Corner again, that they really seem to like him. So, but it's okay to be a doubter because if you're a punter, if you're putting your money behind it, to say I want to see more of it because we've had the preview and we don't want to say, well, hey, look, hey, we saw this before. You kind of want the dog to prove it to you. So like the ability is all there, no doubt about that, no question. And if you put the three of those into one race in a three dog race, three dog trial, you'd have one hell of a race. I don't know which one you think would come out on top, but I think I'd take a chance on Glengar Kane on what I've seen so far.
You're drawn on the fence. I know what I'd be on anyway.
Yeah.
It's worth pointing out. It's worth
You want
pointing
to
out
pick the
that Hackney
draw.
Corner. I'm going off kilos here because obviously you ran in Toaster. I'm looking at the Racing Post site. So he's 32.2 kilos the other night. Like in Shelburne Park last year, he had once raced at 30.5 kilos. Like, so he's
Yeah,
a
it's a
bigger
lot
dog than
now.
he was. Pat had told me, he says this fella's matured. He's turned into a man.
Mm.
So he's hoping that we're really going to see him sort of sprout this year. And by all accounts, he did impress in the opening round. Us look at the second night. Slippery Brian won the opening heat. He actually went fastest of the second session, 28:69. But all evidence would suggest the track was probably going back through the evening because the times towards the end of the evening were much slower than the start of the evening. Slippery Brian impressed, and then we had Gaytime Clyde, who made light work of his task. It was great to see him sort of. He was sort of overlooked a little bit when he won the Rural Kennels Open race down at Clonmel, but this was a good run. Hackney Corner, there was a lot to like about this. Like, this was a better performance in terms of what he was beating than some of the others because Strike at Sky, she's an immensely fast bitch in second
She's
spot.
unlucky.
Huge on the back straight. She's really strong. But Hackney Corner got to the front and he was in the right and he had enough pace to hold her off where she was making her move into the third bend and then up the home straight. He just keeps going. I thought it was very impressive.
I
Ballymac De
thought
Niro, go ahead.
sorry, I thought Striker's guy was a bit unlucky on the night. Not to say that Hackney Corner wouldn't beat her next week, but I thought 3 or 4 times in the race. I'd say definitely 3 times, maybe 4 times. She went to make a move and just it was the wrong side at the wrong time. And I thought I don't know much about Striker's guy apart from the fact that there would seem to be a bit of a fancy for the Derby. At fancy prices, I thought she was she put in quite an effort.
Yeah, she met like massively fast bitch. She had run the Brighton Bell. She'd actually disappointed the previous weekend in the final of Brighton Bell. She qualified to race in 28:20 something around Cork, isn't that right? And she was sold for big money. Lenny's Tank and Ballymac Iroko obviously ended the night in style. But let's quickly go through one or two of them. You have to mention the Hackney Corner there. Liked it. He didn't take a flyer. Showed lovely pace into the open corner. Got first run on the bitch. And while she did go to get through, I'm not sure she ever would have got through if she sort of had found the gap because he just kept going and he did a decent enough clock. Ballymac De Niro, Tommy, walked out. You have to love the way, the manner, the pace he showed. It was a sign of things to come. Let's hope.
It was a hell of an effort off a really slow start, and to win as far as he did as well, and the way he strode out to the end, love it. Like if you're going to be able to survive a slow start in Toaster, you're a hell of a dog. He is due on a
Just
classic
20, like
winner.
29:08. You can ignore the time
Ah,
because it matters little at this situation. A dog who I was very skeptical would take to Toaster was Lenny's Tank. And Tommy, I don't think he took to the place. I think he reveled in it. He absolutely, like, he walked out. He shows great early speed, but he runs a true line. And while I was worried about him drifting around the corners, the banking really seemed to play to his strengths. He runs a lovely
this is
line.
he's case in point for what I talked about with Bacchus Diamond earlier on. I mean,
Mm,
Lenny's tank was going over to the rails going down the bends.
yeah.
Watch it closely. Get a chance. Watch Lenny's Tank's recent runs and watch him there and toasted her. Like, this is what I'm talking about. The bend is inviting you far too early. Maybe it's banking, whatever it is. It's inviting you very early, which is kind of bringing them all into a center point, into a tight point at the bend. You see what I mean by it? If you're watching the
Yeah.
video there, to see how tight Len. If you said to me Lenny's Tank was going to do that going to the first bend in toaster, I'd have said, "Are you having a laugh? Do you watch Greyhound racing at all?" Like,
Mm. But on this display, like, I've gone from being like I couldn't have him on my mind in Toaster to, oh, okay, I see where we're here now. If he traps in Toaster the next night and he's well and good in himself, he could do anything. Like, he could do anything, Tommy. We know how much pace and power this fella has. Like myself and Teddy Hegarty at Shelburne, you meet before racing, and we talking about the English Derby for about 3 weeks now, like ad nauseum to a point, and he keeps going back to Lenny's Tank getting beaten the Easter Cup. He just can't get it out of his head. He can't get it out of his mind. How was he beaten? How was he beaten? I think he must have backed an anti-post or something. But like the other night, I said to him after racing, and he was just so busy, didn't even really get a chance. I said, Lenny's Tank. Oh, did he win? I said, yeah, yeah. I said, he ran like a star, like runs like a middle seed, And he was like, oh, for God's sake, like, it's one of those dogs where there obviously has been problems with them, in terms of fitness and whatnot. But by God, if he stays fit through this derby, and looking at the line he ran the other night, I'd take him on nearly with any dog if I thought he was fitting well.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. We raved about him last year in New Zealand in Curly Park in the Barclay. He was it? Was the Barclay
Yeah,
Memorial he
yeah,
was
he won
in?
the Bartley. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. He's yeah. I'm just stunned at the line again. That's why I say to you. Like, like that just tells me what I need to know about Tulsa. I'm a little bit wary. That's what I am. I want to enjoy this English derby because I thought last year we had a brilliant English derby in Tulsa right up to the final,
mm-hmm.
where things just seemed to go. Just everything just went into reverse. What we had seen through all the previous weeks, it just got thrown on its head basically. And I'm hoping now that we've had what I would call an ordinary start, in my opinion, that it'll build up and be a much better English derby. Plenty of time yet and plenty of hope yet. But when you see the quality dogs that we've sent over for, there's plenty of opportunity. It's not that I care that if it's going to be an Irish or an English winner, as long as it's a good English derby. Um, but yeah, I think I'm just a small bit wary is how I came out of round one.
Yeah. Was there any dog in particular that you took out of it, or any dog that you'd be keen to take on going forward?
I obviously took out Kane and De Niro, but they're top of the market now. Like, I mean, are very very close to the top of the market. I take on Duffel for the moment until, even though he broke the track record, just because it's a bit like you said about Hackney Corner, and you just want to see it more, if you know what I mean. You want to see it again. You want it repeated, not once, twice, three times. You want to see it repeated a few times, just so to say, hey, like, because I could probably take out half a dozen dogs. Say these definitely have the pace to be English and Irish Derby winners. They have the pace, but I just like to see them do it on a consistent basis. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when we raved with Bacchus Diamonds, and I think we thought from about February that he was going to win the Irish Derby because he was so consistent. His early pace was so good. At the moment, I don't see that dog that I know is going to do it every single week and do it right. Now, in mitigation, you're moving tracks and you're going to Toaster and you've been to Tralee or you've been to Limerick or you've been to Shelburne. There's a lot of factors going on there at the moment. But I think it's not that I really want to take on Duffel. I want to see these dogs develop into superstars. Was really what I want to do. I mean, I don't want to take them on, but in terms of taking dogs out of raw ability, Ballymac De Niro, and absolute and utter stylishness and quality, Glengar Kane.
I'm going to throw one at you that sort of impressed me. I wasn't. It's not that I wasn't sure of him. I just felt it might come too soon. I think he was likely to sort of throw in a bad one and sort of get knocked out. But having seen Lenny's Eddie the other evening running so well in second spot after plenty going wrong for him, I just feel that I feel there's a Derby run in him. I think he could go. I think he could go deep, and I think he's certainly one to keep in mind going forward. Obviously, there'll be no easy tasks from here on in, but he impressed me. Whereas he's sort of been under the radar a little bit with me to this point. I liked him in defeat. Obviously, I was very impressed with De Niro. I thought Lenny's Tank was very taking. A dog that sort of impressed me was Barry Macarocco. I'd certainly really given up on him,
Yeah.
and God, he went into cruise control down the back straight. He just ran by them as if they were stopped. Just a fine display. But many of the Irish winners are very impressive. Obviously, Glengar Kane could be anything. Again, if he keeps getting that inside draw, just given his inexperience, he's going to be very, very hard to keep out of the frame. It's interesting to see that Ballymacduffel is favoured with the sponsor Star Sports. I think that's completely overreaction. He's in trap four the next night. Obviously it's a five dog heat, but like he's Get Up the Boy, Ballymac Axel, Garfini Warrior, three really strong running greyhounds there. You just want to be doing things right because three to qualify, yourself, you find a little bit of traffic and you're trying to pick up a dog who's capable of doing a 28-60 run. You're three lengths behind him. It's not that easy. Do you know what I mean? Be interesting to see how that heat goes for Ballymacduffel. If he comes through this in flying colours, so be it. I just don't know if he's sharp enough to justify being an 8-1 favourite for the English Greyhound Derby. For a dog who at this moment in time probably needs the inside to guarantee himself a clear passage. But it'd be interesting to see. I'd be certainly backing a few dogs ahead of him. That doesn't mean he can't win the Derby. We've been right on the Ballymacduffel trains from very early, Tommy. We both know he's extremely, extremely fast, but we're expecting he's going to be Shelburne Park fast, not Toaster fast. It's a very different
Yeah.
test, and a dog of his nature, it's going to be he's going to be tested considerably in the next week and the week after, you'd assume.
That's exactly it. And we'll be delighted if he goes and wins the competition and does it with a swagger and turned out to be an absolute superstar. Comes over and goes sent off 7-2 favourite for the start of the Irish Derby. That's what you want. You want a superstar to emerge. I'm not sure how a superstar can emerge with the depth of talent that's in there. Like, I don't know how anything can be like 5 or 6 lengths better than what's there. I don't know if that can happen, because it's that good a quality. There is real depth in it. Yeah, I just look. Reality, you should probably be thinking, I need to take on Glengar Kane because of his inexperience and all that sort of stuff. But it's just sports car like the other night. I felt Ballymac De Niro. My God, that pace, that was effortless as well. It's just, yeah, it's really good. I mean, proper ARS has plenty of classes near the top of the market, but as you said, Ballymac double at 8-1. That I know it says, I don't know what some of these firms are, but it says that one firm is still going 12-1 Ballymac double. And still, even at that price, I think it's that's closer to right than 8-1 is anyway.
Like the night he went out to Kirby Memorial, he was racing from Trap 4. He was 4-1 that night. All he's done since then is one trial in Toaster. So, all of a sudden after one, obviously it was a track record breaking display. It was an outstanding performance, no question about it. But he's now 8-1 to win a Derby, where his last race he was 4-1 chance.
Yeah, it's the way he went out the Kirby that stuck in my mind at the moment. I want him to do it often enough that I erase that I no longer think that's a concern. It just was, I wouldn't say a whimper now, but it wasn't. It was just a little easier than I'd like the way he went out of the Kirby. That's what concerns me.
Do you want to hear what he's taking on the Kirby semi-final?
Here's
one for you, right? Right? He's in Ballymac Satanta, JK Fly, Get Up the Boy, Ballycowan Frank, and Waiting for a Star. My God, it's not a bad field, is it?
It's a cracking field. It's a cracking field, but just at the same time, I mean, it's not going to get much easier as you go towards the latter stages of this competition. He will have built up more experience and all that sort of stuff. So look, we as you said, we were on this train early. This dog, we liked him in Tralee, but just like to see a bit of consistency. If I'm going to be backing something around 8-1 to win the English Derby, I want to be pretty sure what it's going to do every week.
Yeah, we have 27 dogs representing Ireland still left in the competition. It would be lovely to get to the round of 48. That third round, where the first night where they all appeared together. It'd be lovely to around 20 of them there, wouldn't it? It'd be lovely to have 27 of them there, but I can't see that happening. But it would be lovely to have a decent number to try and have something like parity come the semi-final time. It'd be very interesting to see. Obviously, the home challenge is led by the likes of Underground Gold and Proper ARS. But I think the Irish still perhaps, well, the betting would suggest very much in pole position, Tommy. We look forward to it. And as you say, listen, we'll never judge a competition purely after the opening round. It will spring to life, you'd imagine, if not this weekend, certainly the weekend after.
No, it definitely will, Ian. I mean, it's going to improve. I'm just a bit frustrated by it. I'm a bit concerned about the outside runners and and how it tightens up on the inside if you're a dog that misses a kick at all. That's why it's part of the reason why I think that the duffel is too short.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's a busy week. When the Irish folks are touching on the Shelburne 600 Select Stakes, Produce Stakes, the Pegasus, and of course the English Greyhound Derby from Toaster. Loads more to talk about next week, including the second round of the Produce Stakes and, of course, the second round of the Star Sports and Orchestrate English Greyhound Derby. Tommy, pleasure as always. Any other business before we leave?
No, I mean, what more can we fit in?
Nothing more, Tommy. That's it from us on this Tuesday evening. We're back in 6 days' time. We'll talk to you then. Good luck, good evening, God bless.
This podcast was brought to you by Greyhound Racing Ireland.